Vehicle improvements are coming to Battlefield 6, so DICE is planning a labs test dedicated to vehicle improvements, and some Battlefield 6 vehicles are death traps, such as the light ground transport. I'm going to take the light vehicle feedback with me to the team from today. DICE hardware producer Kit told PC Gamer, but I also want to promote that there is a Battlefield Labs test coming up where we are going to test some vehicle improvements around this issue. Specifically because we've heard the feedback that vehicles are death traps, we're going to try a package of vehicle improvements on labs very soon, so keep an eye out for that. So let's just hope these improvements are actually really good improvements for the vehicle gameplay in Battlefield 6, because we do know that the vehicles in Battlefield 6 aren't really that great. I think it's lacking a lot of depth, and it's lacking a lot of good mechanics that should have been already in the game day one, air radar being one of them, for example. I think the problem with the Jeeps is the maps just aren't really big enough to complement the vehicle itself, and there's not really enough sort of open ground to maneuver around. Plus the RPGs are just like laser beams and they fire so fast. I think if they would have kept the RPGs the way they were in Battlefield 3 and 4, where they were traveling a lot slower in velocity, but you know, there was a big dip in them. It required a bit more skill with the RPG. The RPG now is just like a laser beam and it just flies at like 100 miles per hour. I think it removed a lot of the skill gap for the RPG users, in my opinion, from using the RPG for quite a long time in Battlefield 4. So I think if they just made some good adjustments to the RPG and also made some better maps to complement the light ground vehicles or just vehicles in general, I think that's going to be fixing a lot of the core issues. But yeah, vehicles definitely do lack a lot of depth, especially whenever they don't have good loadouts like we did in Battlefield 3 and 4. The lack of customization within Battlefield 6 compared to previous Battlefields like Battlefield 4, where you had so many multiple options to pick between your primary, your secondary, your countermeasures, your upgrades, plus the camo system just looked way better as well. You had TV guided missiles. There was so much more customization in the previous Battlefield games, especially Battlefield 4. I think Battlefield 4 really capitalized on the vehicle gameplay very, very well. I thought Battlefield 3 did an amazing job also, but I feel like the gameplay for vehicles in Battlefield 6 is not as enjoyable as it was in Battlefield 3 and 4 for me. I seem to play a lot less vehicles in Battlefield 6, and I'm mostly catered to infantry gameplay. I think that's a real shame. I really used to enjoy flying helicopters all the time, flying jets, but I feel like in Battlefield 6, I don't really get the same enjoyment as I did in previous Battlefields. They're just not as good or as effective as they used to be. Why infantry can shoot helicopters down with like an LMG or any sort of assault rifle and damage the armor of a helicopter is still mind-blowing to me. I think they should have just kept it the way it was in previous Battlefields, where you had to use a rocket launcher, an anti-air rocket, or some sort of vehicle to damage an actual helicopter or an attack jet. I don't think guns should damage any vehicles that are in the air. That's just my personal opinion. But yeah, I feel like the vehicles in Battlefield 6 definitely are not as enjoyable or anywhere as good as previous Battlefield games, and especially how they control as well. I just don't like the controls. The box standard controls are horrible until you make a few adjustments with the input controls, but I think overall they just don't feel as good as they did in previous Battlefield games, which is a real shame. So yeah, that's it for today's video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what kind of vehicle improvement you guys would like to see come into Battlefield 6, and I'll hopefully see you guys all in the next Battlefield video.